Yes, I am.
All right, excellent. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order in just a second.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right, we're going to call to order the Planning Commission for the City of Sherwood, April 9th, 2024. Roll call.
Chair Simpson,
Here.
Commissioner Vance,
Here.
Commissioner Castro,
Here.
Here.
Commissioner Cotton.
Was that me?
Yes.
Okay. It broke up a little bit. Here.
All right. Consent agenda. The consent agenda consists of the March 12th Planning Commission meeting minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move. Seconded.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Council liaison announcements. Councilor Stankey.
Good evening, Chair Simpson and Commissioners. We had a pretty light last two council meetings. One thing of note was that we entered into a intergovernmental agreement with Washington County and the cities of Tigard and Tualatin in regards to a homeless services system city liaison. We're going to split that. We're going to get 25% of her FTE or their FTE. Tualatin will get 25% and then Tigard will get 50%. We're not exactly sure what duties, responsibilities that will entail, but we will have a liaison for homeless services relating to our city, and yeah, well, I'll keep you updated with that. Next Planning Commission meeting, I will not be here. Councilor Mays has agreed to join you for the evening.
All right.
So we will have a...
We will miss you.
a counselor here. I'm sure that, yes, it'll mix it up a little bit.
Oh, boy.
And then the only other thing is that April 20th is the Earth Day Trashapalooza here in Sherwood from 10 to 12. You can sign up through solveoregon.org or the Sherwood City webpage. You do not need to register prior to the event, but it would be helpful so that we have enough supplies on hand for people who do come. And that's all I have for tonight.
But a quick question.
Yeah.
And I should have asked staff ahead. The April 25th Volunteer Appreciation Meeting, is that what it's been in the past where we have our goals and objectives, or is it just a meet and greet type opportunity?
My understanding is that it is only a meet and greet.
Okay, I just saw it on my calendar and I went, oh, I should ask about that. So.
I can follow up and send an email out to you.
Yeah, if we can get an email to see if we need to do anything prior to that, that'd be that'd be good. And then the ask went to Metro for the Sherwood West.
Yes, and we had several recommendations, especially economic recommendations from people all over the state, county. And as we are the only ask for Metro right now for expansion.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. And do we have a website page or something to track that or see what's going on? Next steps.
We will, so far we don't, but Metro has promised to upload our application.
Okay.
So once that, because there has been several inquiries as far as where can I see that application, it's my understanding that Metro will be uploading it. And once I know exactly when and where, I'll share that information.
I think we can put a link from the city webpage to Metro so that everybody can track progress on that.
Yes, and it was for the entire ask, and we did submit it a day earlier than the due date, so the requirement.
All right, well, good news on that then. That we have
An application in.
and a way to communicate that to the citizens so that
Yes.
people can stay in touch with that.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Staff announcements?
All right, well, the Sherwood West, we just got that information. We are still recruiting for planning commissioner position, so we still have one opening. So please let me know, Joy Chang, and my email is definitely online if you're interested. And there is an application process, so application is also available online. In other news, as a reminder, if you haven't already, as the commissioners for planning commissioners, the statement of economic interest needs to be filed by April 15th to the Oregon Government Ethics Commission, just as a reminder.
Okay, yeah.
Yep, that is all that I have.
Okay. Yeah. Something changed with their website. It was not as intuitive as it had been in the past. I was like searching around trying to find the button that was like file it annually. Did you notice that too? It was like or maybe it was the first time I'd done it on my phone and I was trying to do it fast in a parking lot. So I wasn't finding it as easily as I wanted to find it. So
Some of the links broke for me when I tried to do things. It just gave me a bunch of code. I had to go back, redo it. Some of the new sections.
yeah,
But
they
it finally worked at the
And it
end.
was straightforward.
yeah, they had some failure over the last weekend. So anyway. All right, community comments. Community comments are limited to those items not already on the agenda, and anyone wishing to testify on community comments or for the public hearing this evening, we ask that you complete a blue form in the back and turn it into one of the staff members. Under community comments, each of the commissioners was provided an email and a follow-up email from Mr. Simons. And this has specifically to do with the Brookman Trunk Sewer Extension and the relationship that process has with Clean Water Services. It is an email that's being submitted into the record. Each of the commissioners has a copy of this. And at this time, we cannot discuss any matter that has not been properly noticed per the Oregon meeting laws. The comments have been noted and are included in the record for the evening. And it is my understanding that staff has reached out to Mr. Simons with contacts for Clean Water Services and other interested agencies. The Planning Commission does not have any oversight, and we're not an authority that governs Clean Water Services or any fees charged with that. Is that a fair assessment of that
Yes, it is.
status? Okay, so for the record, it is filed under citizen comments. All right. Are there any other community comments? No one's running up to the front, so we're going to open our public hearing. Yeah. All right. A public hearing on LU 2024-001 PA Climate Friendly and Equitable Communities is called to order. Are you going to read it? Does it say it?
I could read it, yeah.
Would you
Yes.
like to read that? Thank you,
Yes.
Joy.
The purpose of this hearing is to provide the public with an opportunity to testify and provide information to the Planning Commission concerning LU 2024-001 PA Climate Friendly and Equitable Communities. The Commission will conduct tonight's hearing in the following order. Staff will present the staff report, followed by questions, if any, by the Planning Commission to staff. We will then open the hearing for public testimony, and each person's time will be limited as follows. The applicant's 30 minutes. The person in favor of the application, 4 minutes. Person opposed to the application, 4 minutes. And then rebuttal from the applicant, remainder of the 30 minutes not utilized. We will then close the public hearing, final comments by staff, then questions of staff, if any, by the commission. Then finally, discussion and deliberation by the commission. A recommendation to City Council may be made at the close of the hearing, or the matter may be continued to a time and date certain. If the matter is continued to a certain date, this will be the only notice of the date you receive. Staff will recognize people who have signed up to speak 24 hours in advance to provide testimony virtually. When it is your time to provide testimony, please state your name and address for the record. Staff did not receive any notification 24 hours in advance from anyone wanting to provide testimony virtually. So if you wish to speak, please fill out one of the testimony forms, the blue cards, and submit it to the planning staff. The Planning Commission Chair will recognize people who wish to speak, and any questions should be addressed through the chair. When you come to the microphone, please state your name and address for the record, as this hearing will be recorded. Please speak clearly into the microphone. In reaching a decision on the application, the Commission must consider whether the application meets the relevant approval criteria in the city's land use regulations. Those criteria are identified in the staff report. The staff report is available online and at City Hall. The staff report was accessible to the public 7 days prior to the meeting date. The testimony and evidence must address these criteria and other criteria you believe apply to the decision. Please note that failure to raise an issue with enough detail to enable the Commission, the applicant, and the parties an opportunity to respond to the issues precludes an appeal to the City Council or Land Use Board of Appeals on that issue. Also, failure by the applicant to raise constitutional or other issues regarding proposed conditions of approval, again, with enough detail to allow the Commission to respond to the issue, precludes an action for damages in circuit court. This evening, the Planning Commission will make a recommendation to City Council if it's not continued. The City Council is the final decision maker on legislative hearing matters. With that, staff definitely can start the presentation. Well, good evening, everyone. Joy Chang, Interim Planning Manager for the Planning Department. Tonight, we're talking about climate-friendly, equitable communities, also an acronym of CFEC. A little bit background in regards to what CFEC is. On March 10th, 2020, the former Governor Kate Brown issued an executive order of 20-04, directing state agencies to reduce climate pollution. And in July of 2022, DLCD adopted the climate-friendly, equitable community rules to help meet the state goals to reduce climate pollution, especially from transportation. The rules applies to urban metropolitan areas throughout Oregon. Some of the rules have been directly effective since January 1st, 2023, others since March 31st of 2023. Other rules required local action by June 30th of 2023. DLCD did approve and grant the city of Sherwood an alternative date of implementation to June 30th of 2024 this year. Key parts of the rules include reform of parking requirements, land use requirements for designated climate-friendly areas, that is Sherwood Town Center, transportation performance standards, and transportation system plan update requirements. So I will just briefly identify, fortunately, I know the Planning Commission was our Citizen Advisory Committee, so you guys have seen many of these amendments. The reduction of parking mandates for development types, we can't require more than one parking space per unit for residential development. No parking requirements for other certain developments like facilities and home designated to serve people with disabilities, childcare facilities, single room occupancy housing, residential units smaller than 750 square feet, affordable housing, publicly supported housing, emergency and transitional shelters, and domestic violence shelters. Also, parking reform near transit under OAR 66012-0400. Our TriMet Line 94, as defined by the OAR, is considered frequent transit, and we have taken the opportunity to, it basically says within a half a mile, or we can do an alternative measurement of walking, which we are taking that 30-minute walk, and the pink area reflected on this map is the walking distance that we've identified, that we are not required to require any parking for all those parcels or lots that are impacted within that pink area. Additionally, we are required to amend our code to allow for electric vehicle charging conduits through 40% of parking spaces developed for multifamily homes, 5 or more housing. So typically that would be apartments or any mixed-use buildings. So we would require the conduits, not so much as the actual plugins, but the conduits so that the infrastructure is there so that the station itself can be utilized in the future. Other parking regulations, improvements, preferential placement of carpool, redevelopment of any portion of a parking lot for bike and transit uses, redevelopment of underutilized parking, facilitating and allowing for shared parking, and half-acre parking lots must install 40% of tree canopy or solar panels or solar wind fee in lieu's, or green energy could also be options. And also, of course, adopting maximums in locations such as downtown, regional, or community centers and transit-oriented development. Other regulations under 425, reducing burdens of parking mandates. Garage and carports may not be required for residential development. The garage, if a garage parking is proposed, it shall be counted towards off-street parking. Shared parking, again, is allowed to meet mandates. It could also be provided, parking can be also provided off-site within 2,000 feet from a pedestrian travel from a site. And reducing parking if you're providing solar panels or wind power capacity, car sharing parking spaces, EV parking spaces, units that are fully accessible with people with mobility and disabilities. So the other choice that we have, we had 2 options in regards to fair pricing. One option was basically to remove all of our parking requirements throughout the entire city. And our council has guided us to basically say we're going to do the fair pricing by reducing parking mandates for certain types of key developments. So the key areas that we're talking about, or the choices that we have made, we are going to require unbundled parking for parking spaces serving leased commercial developments. And the second is we're going to create a tax on the revenue for commercial parking lots within the city boundary of no less than 10% of income. So this is the provision in regards to, it's a brand new title, or not, it's a new chapter in Title V for unbundled parking for commercial leases. And it does identify exactly what that means, but also the exempt uses are included. And we are offering $50 per space is our recommendation. Excuse me. Due to our situation as being a suburban community, and we truly don't have comparable rates. Excuse me. Correct, we don't. We would create this. Excuse me. I think I skipped over one too many. The other is a brand new tax for commercial parking lots. If and when Sherwood ever builds a commercial parking lot, they would be subject to this 10% income tax. And commercial parking lots are standalone parking lots that rent parking on a daily, monthly, or annual basis, just like the ones in downtown Portland or even downtown Beaverton recently built one for their art center. So that would be considered a commercial parking lot. So we created a new chapter in Title III that's going to be based on gross income, excuse me, collected quarterly and and they will be required to report in a standardized form similar to the transit lodging tax form that we have already in place. So, since notice in regards to this particular hearing, we've had correspondence from DLCD staff the late afternoon of April 2nd, and we received a series of amendments that they suggested, and I've provided everyone a sample. We're calling it Exhibit D for the land use case file, and I'll just kind of walk through them. They're about approximately 10 because some of them are grouped together, so I'll just kind of go through them quickly. Let's see here. The first one includes the measurement description determination in regards to what does that really mean. So we're adding specific language that says the new surface parking area shall be measured based on the perimeter of all new off-street spaces, maneuvering lanes, maneuvering areas, including driveways and drive aisles.
So, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Is the bolded part the DLCD recommendation of the code that you've already recommended into
Correct.
our packet?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood that we've already seen everything.
Yes.
It's just additions or changes from
Right.
the LCD staff.
So you'll see strike-throughs or bolded indicating that it's new to you.
Okay, and so
Right.
this will, okay, and so,
Yeah. And then within that same OAR, they've asked us to make sure that walking standards are identified for pedestrian connectivity. And I did point out to DLCD staff that is already been codified within our code. So it's just a cross-reference saying that they need to meet 1696.020 or 1696.030, depending on what type of use they are. The second item is on the column, has to do with existing text that we've always had for the longest time, and I guess we're no longer in compliance where our standard code is 40 employees. The new text, the new OAR basically says it's for 50 employees. So, excuse me, so we're making that change. Some clarification in regards to shared parking, and making sure that shared parking can also be considered off-site. So we modified the text by eliminating it needed to be, of course, located on the same lot or development as the residence. So we strike that.
I had already had that as a question if we had a conflict, so, yay.
Yeah, that is a conflict. And then
Not that I wanted to do that.
And then I think we just made the final at the very bottom in regards to it can be shared, and this is that provision calls out for the code section where it calls out about the sharing. They also wanted to make sure that we clarify that it's not.
And are they the lots that the school is on, or is it something in addition to that?
It's 2 residential lots.
That are already developed?
Yes.
So it does, I guess from my opinion, we'll take a poll of the commission. Does anybody want to exercise the having the red box be any different than the transit area? Or have, so there's 2 ways to do the area in red can follow with the transit area that we've already highlighted in pink, or through adopting a secondary criteria. There are a couple of residential lots that are already developed but could operate under a different set of rules. I'm a little confused because it looks like there's more than 2 lots if I'm looking at this.
Oh, you can't see. Okay. It's my understanding it's these lots over here that are outside of the pink. The initial look at that. We can definitely, I could create a list, as far as the data, but our GIS individual indicated there's only 2 additional lots impacted that are not outside of that transit. Can you see my mouse?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
okay.
I'm looking at if you go to the right, quite a
The east side.
the east side.
This
By
map?
No, to the
Sorry.
inside the red box.
Okay.
At Langer. Go next to
Southwest
Langer
Parkway.
Langer
Oh, this way, here.
Yeah,
There's
right there.
that whole section there is not highlighted pink. Well, how can that be? That would be clarification because if the
Well, because that was walking. Remember, we had walking, 30 minutes walking,
Right.
and that's why there's holes. But again, I believe that these are all in either park or school somehow versus they're not developable per se.
that's where the church residences are, aren't they? The southern part of that and that big empty grass area.
So, all right. Well, this is why we're asking for a continuance. And we can definitely clearly identify as far as what the difference are
Yeah.
and the impacted.
And when you did walking, it was like you'd have to walk on sidewalks and whatever. I mean, you mapped out
Right.
each one of those possible
Because
tracks.
because remember how we first did the analysis with the half a mile shot straight,
Mhm.
half a mile shot straight, everything in the town center would have been covered.
Right.
Right. But
But since you have to walk on sidewalks to get there, it's much more windy.
Right.
Yeah,
and
and I
that's
would-
why we reduced the areas.
and it's a half-mile walk because on the
Well,
far
it's 30 minutes. When we're talking about walking, it's a 30-minute.
At whose pace?
Able-bodied people.
That's what I was gonna
It's
I'm disabled.
probably
I
it's
don't
not
walk as
it's
fast
not
as others.
it's not my pace because I typically walk slower.
Yeah, I
But-
was gonna say my house is in the pink, and I can't walk to the bus stop in 30 minutes, and that's anyway.
Is there we can definitely is there direction where we can take the map and identify clearly what the differences are? Thank you, Jean, for pointing out the holes there. We should identify those. But the question I have is on this slide. We could either A, remove those parking mandates like staff was recommending because it seemed easier. But again, commission can require item B and below. It may, adopting a parking benefit district may take time, and I'm not sure if we're going to be able to definitely we won't be able to do that within the timeline of May 14th. We can definitely look into the regulations requiring no more than 1/2 of a off-street parking space per dwelling unit in the area.
Is B an or is it an and?
Oh, let's see. 435. I have the OAR, so let's read it. 435 sub 2. In each such area, cities and counties shall either A, remove, or B, manage parking by A, adopting a parking benefit district, B, adopting land use regulation requiring no more than 1/2 off-street parking space per dwelling unit, and C, adopting land use regulations without parking mandates for commercial development.
So it's an and.
Mhm.
Do you get a half parking space?
Motorcycle.
Wheelchair.
Gene, I had a question,
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner Kai.
and it was the point that you brought up, but I was wondering it before. If this is all if this is all due to the bus line, what if Sherwood did not discontinue having a bus line? Is that possible?
If Sherwood did not have a bus line, then it wouldn't. We don't qualify. We wouldn't have an area. But this isn't just the bus line anymore. We're talking
Town
about the Sherwood Town Center.
But
and
is that defined by the bus line, though?
no,
Our town
Okay.
center is defined by a different set of criteria.
right?
Okay.
And it's the image to the left that was adopted in regards to that is the town center. And one of the
Okay.
future work that we were under, we were hoping that we were going to get direction after Metro updated their urban growth functional management plan. We were going to look at that town center and reevaluate to see if that is the entire town center that we are identifying as of climate friendly. That's the adopted, but we were hoping that to reevaluate the actual town center to see if we wanted to reduce it.
Okay.
Can I ask about, so A here says, remove all parking mandates within the area and on parcels in its jurisdiction that include land within 1/4 mile distance of those areas. On parcels in its, okay. Is the area it's talking about the town center? It is talking about the town center. That's what meant by area.
Mm-hmm.
So is that saying we can't have any parking mandates within 1/4 mile of the area's boundaries? I mean, that would actually be bigger than this.
Include land within.
I can get clarification. We were under the direction that we got from DLC staff was that it would be our existing town center boundaries, not plus.
Oh, on parcels in its jurisdiction that include land within 1/4 mile distance.
I don't know.
No, it says
Okay.
remove all parking mandates within the area, which
And-
to me reads the red area, and on parcels within the city jurisdiction that include land within 1/4 mile of that red area.
Yep.
So I'm seeing that as
That's
the
what
red
I'm saying.
plus 1/4.
All right, we will definitely get that clarified.
And all the rest of it.
So 1/4 mile, pretty much just a circle around the city of Sherwood says no parking.
If that's correct, if that is
Or-
the read.
And on parcels in its jurisdiction that include land within 1/4 mile of it. So I don't know what its is. Is it the town
think it's the
center
city.
jurisdiction or the city's jurisdiction?
Right, because we wouldn't have authority in Washington County, so all we
Okay,
can
it's
do
gotta
is control parking.
Yeah, within
Okay,
the
well,
city.
I'm sorry I noticed this.
No, it's a good notice.
It's a good notice because we don't want to have that
'Cause
answer.
I don't think we're ready to make a decision on this
So that may
particular
mean
thing
we
tonight.
wouldn't be-
No,
Okay, so
we'll need more information
Yep.
before we can make a decision one way or the other because that is
okay.
significant.
I have one more question too about the pink area, the walkable area. Is this to the line itself or to an actual bus stop?
It's to the line itself.
So how
Along-
many stops are actually in Sherwood?
I don't know.
Because if it's only stopping at that one spot, you still have to walk.
I think there's got to be multiple stops.
Yeah,
But
there's
we need to
multiple-
have
yeah,
we,
there's
we need to have that
multiple
in
stops.
we need to have that on this map,
I
and
think-
it also needs to be part of the walkable.
Yeah, that's interesting
Timeline.
because the Parabout that's at Oregon Street, they don't stop there. They just go around the circle and can then come back into Old Town for their stop. So if we're counting the edge of where it turns around, it doesn't pick up people there. We could, pull the line in a little bit.
Okay.
The language does say the line,
The line.
Does it?
not the stops.
Oh, interesting.
So you can just get run over and they'll pick you up, and that's walkable.
But what is the best way to do this? I mean, this is going to require more analysis, and I mean, this is almost like we're entering a working session land here now, talking through this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's more than just a continuance of a public hearing. I mean, now
Right. So
this is new, all new.
So what I'm projecting, especially if you'd like us to get clarification on this and also maybe look at all the other options, is that we will do our best in regards to providing that analysis on May 14th. And we may, it can't be a work session, but we would, we would present the information. You guys would have the opportunity of deliberating or continuing it on. DLCD staff did indicate that they would be in favor if staff was to ask for like a month or two extension to our deadline. They would be favorable in regards to granting that. So I'm confident that, just because we are already beyond the timeline of trying to get something formally adopted with 2 hearing processes through council by June 30th, I already know that we're going to be asking for at least a month. But, just to add some buffer, possibly 2. So we can keep on continuing until we flush out in regards to it. I know Chair Simpson did request, is it possible to put some type of indicator as far as with the amendment, especially to Title 16, that if it was ever to get repealed because of the lawsuit. I did talk to our city attorney, and he is going to help draft some of that language.
So for clarification, my concern is that this is done by an executive order. It wasn't actually voted on by legislation or the actual citizens of the state of Oregon. So I wanted to add a clause on every section that we're forced to put into our code that this code amendment, as required by Executive Order 20-04, is subject to immediate removal if EO 2004 is repealed, reversed, or found illegal or something. I'm sure there's more official lawyer language, but I would like everything that is being forced upon us to have a caveat at the bottom that says if EO 2024 is repealed, reversed, eliminated, that we don't have to go through the public hearing process again to have this entire language removed from our code. And I'm seeing a couple of head nods.
Yeah, the only, I agree in concept. The challenge is are there things in our code that we're removing that should also go back if this is removed?
Yeah,
as well. I mean, how much look back do you want to have to revert to an old version of code? I think is the challenge we run into with that.
I think we could. Joyce said we could immortalize what the code is as part of the staff report and be able to use that as the reference document to revert back to.
Okay.
My challenge was I wanted to make sure it was noted in each section with a little parentheses at the end of each code, so that because when it's published online and when we get our printed code and whatever applicants when they come forward to us, it takes a few months for the people that produce our actual text online and in our books to catch up. So I would not want that out there published without the caveat to say that's no longer in place because EO 2024 has been removed. And so it was just my way to have a safety guard that says,
Yeah, I think over time we can reassess, because if we start writing other developmental code that depends on this code, and down the road it gets reversed, we have conflicts in code.
Yeah.
But,
There's certain things.
But I do agree in concept. We should.
Yeah, I
we
agree
can do this.
in concept as well. However, and I'd like to add, per Ms. Nass's comment, EV and public transportation, there are some good things within this new thing, within this new EO that do make sense in terms of, making sure that we have conduits in place for EV and things like that. So certain things I'd like to see adopted whereas mandated, no, not the same.
Correct. And that's a really good, yeah. So blanket statements always bite you, but the mandate is so offensive to what we're trying to do in preserving our quality of life that
I mean, I couldn't imagine trying to not have a parking spot for a disabled person. I mean, that just counter everything from
every federal compliance and common sense thing I've ever listened to, yes. And then I was going to, and then I think as individual commissioners, I'm going to ask that we look at the findings, because I'd like to have the findings reflect the challenge that we're facing. And the findings read as if we agree that our comprehensive plan is asking for no parking requirements. And I think that is not the intent of our comprehensive plan, to eliminate parking. And so I had felt that it was, in light of the only options allowed by OAR 660-012, or the executive order, the need to adopt these items exceeds the alternatives of the state required amendments if no action is taken. So I kind of want to put a precursor in there that says the findings themselves are based on the fact that
It's a nearest fit
it's
of the options given.
of the options allowed within Executive Order 2024, this is the best one for our community.
you just want the staff notes reflected that.
But because the findings say,
yeah, I get it.
yeah,
The statewide land use goal, yeah, specific.
and
I
so
agree with that.
so
I like that.
if Commissioner Kai, do you have any comments, yay or nay, to adjusting the findings in that manner?
I support that. The thing that's just really kind of ridiculous about this is, as much as myself and any other I think all of us can appreciate and like pedestrian friendly European type cities, but Oregon and most of America didn't evolve that way, so it's kind of like trying to put Pandora's box back into the box, and it's just not realistic, and it's just a terrible exercise that this is putting everything through. So
Understood.
Yeah.
And staff will, based on that, will make an overall finding just at the beginning that states that.
Okay, and then I think, because we're not going to have a work session, I have some notes, and if we want to if a commissioner wants to reach out to staff directly with either Scrivener or edits, I think we can approach staff one-on-one and say, here's a couple of my thoughts, and what I'm going to take these concerns to Joy. So if anybody can, between now and our continued hearing, reach out to Joy so that we have everything on her plate before, what would you say, like by the next planning commission meeting, if we could we can't continue it to next time, because are we already doing something?
No, I am actually, I won't be available.
Oh, okay. So what date do you want us, deadline, to get you the stuff so that you can incorporate it into our next staff report?
All right, so we've continued the hearing to May.
Well, not yet. We have to,
Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
vote on that.
we're
Yes.
recommending to continue the hearing to May 14th. So then the staff report would be due on May 7th. Please, if we can get comments by May 1st to me, that would be plenty of time. But in the interim, I will, with all the research and getting clarification, I do know that DLCD definitely has ADA guidelines already that they provided and how CFEC impacts ADA. So I will also share that guidelines with all of you for your reference. And then as I continue the work in regards to this climate-friendly area and get clarification, I'll share that information ahead of time also. And please, yes, share your edits if you have any by May 1st, so we can make sure to roll them all in.
So any other questions or comments of staff before we entertain a motion?
May 14, right?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. In that case, I move the Sherwood Planning Commission continue the public hearing on the application for climate-friendly and equitable communities, project number LU 2024-001, until May 14, 2024.
Seconded.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we continue LU 2024-001 PA climate-friendly and equitable communities until May 14th. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The public record is still open. We would encourage anybody that wants to provide any more written testimony, they can submit it, and we are only making a recommendation to council, so the council will also have a de novo hearing where they'll accept public testimony at that point too. So that's it. Thank you very much for spending your time, and thank you for your analogy. I am loving that.
You only need one bathroom.
In the city, we'll share it all. Okay. Sorry, I lost my.
Commissioner comments.
All right, commissioner comments. The only thing I had was reminding everybody that April 25th is the Volunteer Appreciation Evening. Did everybody get their invitation?
Is it the hoedown?
The hoedown, where I think we had to RSVP.
By Thursday, I think.
All right. Okay.
No, Eric didn't either. I had to tell him about it. It's just he had no.
They're not volunteers.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, somebody from the staff from the city's going to be there to run this thing, right? I mean, or volunteers all just showing up and figuring it out. Okay.
We're volunteering to make our own food, serve.
No, usually the planning manager is usually there because I know of Erica attending. So I'm surprised, but I will get more information. So did you say April 25th?
Yeah, it's a hoedown.
If you want to bring us lavish gifts and prizes, make sure to keep it under the $10 limit for the statement of economic interest so I don't have to report it next year.
All right, noted. Thank you.
Is it $10 or $15? Something like that.
Matter. It's small.
Yeah, it's pretty small. Box of chocolates goes over the thing. Okay. And then we all talked about the statement of economic interest on the 15th, and then I have nothing else. Any other commissioner comments? All right, then hearing no objections, we are going to adjourn. All right, no objections. Thank you, Commissioner Kai, for dialing in this evening.
No problem. Thank you.
All right.